Do you know you're my miracle? Oh yeah. I'm like a statue, stuck staring right at you.
Who wouldn't wanna love like this? Fall asleep together, wake up in heaven.
Caliber, come get on my caliber. You feel like a CEO, then you gotta work me up.
More than beautiful, girl, you're a work of art. Oh, 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 yeah. Mami, me encanta tu cuerpo. Like the way it feels, esto no me gusta. Esto no me gusta. She's the light, the sun would bring everything that means to me.
Mía, tú conmigo, contra viento, cielo y mar. Y cuando falta aire puedo respirar. Don't let me dance alone. Baby, don't let the music die.
Welcome back to The Rip. It's Mikey Reds. Today we have a special guest. He's a Latin American singer-songwriter, artist, producer, creative, vocal coach, shows like X Factor, La Banda, and America's Got Talent. He's responsible for putting together amazing groups like Fifth Harmony and CNCO. He's been in the industry for over 20 years and has over 190 placements as a songwriter with a huge list of artists, which we'll get into later. He has 5 #1 albums in Japan as an artist, along with 8 #1 records, 7 in Japan, 1 in the U.S. And overall, he's just a good human being. So I have the huge pleasure of introducing my bro, Lil Eddie.
Yo,
welcome. Thanks, man.
Bro? Thank you, bro. I appreciate that.
Thanst for letting me come, man. It really means a lot to me.
Mi casa, tu casa.
Hey, thank you.
You already know.
I just want to get like right into it, bro. I want to see if you can go ahead and tell us, where you're from, where you were born, and what your upbringing was like.
Yeah, so my name is Lil Eddie. My real name is Edwin Serrano. Everybody calls me Eddie, but or Ed, something like that. But I was born in Brooklyn, raised in Spanish Harlem. At the age of 5, I had 9 fires in my building in Brooklyn, and the last one left us homeless. My building actually burned down and collapsed. I was rescued from a fire escape. The firemen rescued me, my mother, my sister. We got the firemen because my brother jumped from the 2nd floor onto a tree and got down, and we got to call the firemen, which eventually came and rescued us. But after we were rescued from that burning building, I was homeless. My father was like a New York gangster. At the time he was working, but people already had a perception of him. There was a lot of colorism within the race, just being Latino. And my father was a Afro-Black Puerto Rican, and because of that, I didn't really grow up much with my family. And because my father was so gangster, they kind of disowned us all. So when we had that fire, it was horrible because we didn't have that support from family. So we lived in my dad's car until that broke down. We used to steal from stores and all types of stuff just to survive until Red Cross got us into a shelter. Eventually we moved to the projects in Spanish Harlem, and I lived in Harlem from 7 to, till about, I would say, 18, 19, to when I signed my record deal, and I moved out and did my thing. But life wasn't easy. A lot of adversity, a lot of issues like inside my family, a lot of abuse. I suffered a lot of abuse from my family, and that just is a horrible cycle that passes down. It's a dark cycle that passes down, and that really I wouldn't change it because it made me who I am. But now as an adult, I know the difference between abuse and discipline. And unfortunately, all those hard times, I think, led me to being a stronger person and achieving my dreams and setting goals and reaching goals and wanting to want more.
Yeah, I thank you for sharing that. You mentioned before, well, you just said that your dad was, he was a G, he was a gangster. Did that come with? Because we understand that people like that usually have a persona in the street, but did he have like somewhat of an aggressive personality in home too? Like,
Yeah, I mean, my dad was no joke. Like, my dad was no joke, man. He was. I mean, he was. I think my father he was running the streets at a young age. He, had to kind of raise himself, and he was in foster care system and went to jail and had a really hard life. So I think having kids and at a young age with my mom and having to support us and figure out a way to put food on the table, all of that was stressful. And then his own mental illnesses that he suffered. He had a leaking aneurysm and he had epilepsy, and he was always in and out the hospitals. And because of his issues and his disorders, it would lead him into mental asylums, and that would trickle all the way down into his relationship with my mom, and then into any talk back from a child or any disobedience. It was just like
harsh.
it was real harsh. It was really harsh. It was abusive, and some of that discipline though I could actually appreciate today. I think it gave me tough skin, and in this industry you need really tough skin, and when you have to deal with monsters in the game, and you have to deal with these wolves, and these like harsh times in the industry, the ups when everybody loves you and you pop it, and then the downs when you're not the biggest name in the industry and everybody now just kind of goes ghost. Like, it didn't break me like it will break the next man. You know what I mean? I know a lot of famous artists, and I know a lot of upcoming artists, and I know a lot of people who had deals like I did, and eventually lost their deals or things didn't line up, and I see how fast people crumble. But for me, it was like, I'm not gonna stop. I'm gonna ride till my wheels fall off and bite till my teeth fall off. So I'm always gonna be the one that keeps doing this music thing, because I didn't choose music. Music chose me. I believe that, and it saved my life. So my gift of song is a true gift into the world, and really none of my business, like if someone likes it or not. It's just what I was born to do.
Wow, I love that, man. You can definitely see how, obviously, it sounds like you went through so much, things that probably a lot of people in the world have never gone through. Many maybe have gone through worse things, but it's obvious that there's a strength that really seeps through. So I think that's so dope. We're gonna get into that a little more to talk about how your upbringing influenced who you are now, especially in the industry you're in. But I just wanted to ask, you said from 7 years old to 18, what do you think helped keep you safe in that time? If things were tough at home, what helped keep you stable? What did you find that really helped you?
Well, I started music through this boys choir called the New York Boys Choir, which was a ministry as well. We would travel the world and we would sing about God, and we would spread His word. Like you, I was initially born Jehovah's Witness, and when the fire and all the stuff happened, we felt, I guess, like our Kingdom Hall wasn't supporting us. So I guess my parents made a decision to leave the practice and the religion, and then we became Catholic Christians when I moved to Spanish Harlem. But then when I joined this choir, it was just the word of the Lord. It was just Christianity and Christian music, and that led me to finding out the music was my calling. I mean, I didn't really know that I would be doing music for the rest of my life, but this opened Pandora's box for me. It allowed me to travel the world. It allowed me to see that there was more than my ghetto, or more than my projects walls, that there was a whole world of people out there ready to love you for your gift or for music, and that appreciated American music. And being a person that experienced so many different religions and spiritualities, now I really identify as love being my religion more than anything. And in that time, I always looked up. I always knew there was a God. I always felt like there was a higher being, and there was somebody that or something or an entity that was protecting me, that was telling me like better days are coming. Like you're only gonna experience these lows because you're gonna go up from here. And I always had that kind of faith. Like it just was instilled in me. And I remember when times were rough, my mother would always pray, or my mother would always talk about God, and so I really believe God was my light, and the choir was really a protection and my shelter. Like when I didn't have anywhere else to go, I went to my choir director, who I call Pops today. He's like my father today still. He comes and visit me all around the world, and I'll go and see him, and we argue like father and son, and like he's my Pops, and you met him before. He's a great guy, and I call him, that's like my Pops. He's always been there, and he helped raise me as a man. And when I didn't have nowhere to turn, I would call him, and he would pray with me. And I feel really blessed that I had him in my life, and he always kind of, he always kept me in check, and still does today, keep me in check. And I have to keep him in check because they get older and they think they're grown or whatever.
Yeah, then we become Pops.
Yeah, we become our parents' real talk, the older you get. But he was also like a big guardian angel in my life. My sister was always like my second mother. So my big sister, she was always someone as well that kind of I could run to for protection, or run to for guidance and security. And she'll be like, get back up. You got to keep going.
I love that, man. It seems like you're pinpointing all the mentors, the guides that really helped you along your journey. For a lot of kids, because a lot of my audience are kids, so for them who maybe don't have father figures, what advice would you give them on how can they find mentors? Like, how can they find people that they can trust, and like what should they look for?
I would first say trust somebody. Trust is something that has to be earned, but it's something you have to risk. And maybe you're gonna find that trust from somebody in the community. It could be the guy you go to and get your daily, water from, or soda from, or wherever you go and pick up a bag of chips and you speak to that guy. Or it could be, it could be one of the OGs on the block. It could be someone at the basketball court. It could be a coach. It could be a teacher. It could be a friend. It could be an old person that you always see. But you have to trust somebody. And I know it's hard when you feel like people let you down a lot. But if you're really looking for guidance and someone to talk to, there's so many places and that you can find outreach for. I would say, like, find some sense of spirituality and remember that there's something bigger than us, and that's why we're here. And it's something that somebody made all of this, and you may not believe, but pray for understanding. Say, hey, I need some understanding to figure out who you are or why I'm here. But really, we all need somebody. When you're sick, you need a doctor. When you want some education, you need a teacher. And if you want some spiritual guidance, you may need a preacher. So I'd say you always have to want somebody to help guide you. And it's like if I said, hey, I pointed at a building, I'm like, yo, someone made that building, right? You don't need to know exactly who built it. You're going to believe someone built it, right? So, I mean, on the grand scheme of things, somebody made the sky, somebody made the sun, somebody made all of this, humans, birds, animals,
Yeah, it's amazing, man. I love that so much because I relate. I had a mentor. I don't think you ever met him. This really, really big guy named Ray, who never let go. Even when I was out doing all the crazy things, bad relationships, he would call me and be like, yo, let's go have dinner. For 10 years straight, he would just call me, never let go. And I never understood it because when you're young, you only see what's right in front of you, So I think that's super important. Thank you for sharing that. Let's skip a little forward. How did you get discovered? And at what age did you get discovered? I think it was like at a coffee shop or something like that.
No, so like I was singing on a train at 10 years old. I'm not at 10, I'm sorry. I started singing at 10, but I was about 15 years old working at Starbucks. And by this time, I already accumulated a lot of demos. I was working with a bunch of different producers I went to school with, all types of people. I was just producing and writing music with them, collaborating. And I was 15. I was coming home from Starbucks. I lied to my boss and said I was 16 at the time. But when he found out it was all good, he was like, yo, just he understood. I was like, yo, I need to make money. I'm poor.
You're a
Like,
hustler.
I need to get my mom some money. I just lied on all my information. And then when they came and found out, they were like, yo, what are you doing? So I was coming home from Starbucks and someone was following me on the train. I thought they were gonna jump me. And when I got to my stop, I was like, yo, what's up? And they were like, nah, like I've been listening to you sing. I think I know somebody who can help you. And I was like, yeah, whatever. I heard that a million times at this point. They're like, no, like if you got a demo, give it to me. So I just gave them a demo. I was like, yo, I'll get you a CD. I'll give it to you. I got them a CD. That CD was given to a guy named Eddie Morales, who was a Puerto Rican choreographer, who was doing Justin Timberlake, Janet Jackson, everybody at the time. He was really famous. And he was Puerto Rican from Brooklyn, like me. His name is Edwin, like mine. You
Crazy.
know? So he called me once. He was like, yo, I don't believe this is a Puerto Rican singing on this demo. Like, where you at? I want to come pull up and see you. And I was like, yo, I'm gonna be working at Starbucks. Da, da, da. He came through. I sang for him in the middle of the street, and he was like, yo, you fired. Like, I wanna rock with you. So he.
Do you remember what you sang? What song you sang?
I probably sang Carl Thomas at the time.
Which song?
And I wish I never met her.
Dang, classic.
Yeah, I was a big Carl Thomas fan, which is crazy because my first placement ever was the first single on Carl Thomas' second album.
Yes, sir.
When that I Wish and all that whole album, I know that whole album front to back, that came out. And then I ended up writing the first single to his second album, which is crazy. But so Eddie was like, yo, I know people can help you. I'm gonna move this around. I want to put you in the studio. And he did. He got me in with other producers. Other people started offering me deals. Eventually, Mario Winans offered me a deal. P. Diddy offered me a deal. Missy Elliott offered me a deal. All these people offered me deals, and I ended up doing a deal with Diddy. But what happened was there were other people in place that were moving the project for Eddie. Brian Jones, there was at Flip Mode at the time, and then Nell Pla, and then there was just so many people involved, and there was people that wanted my publishing, and my lawyer was like, yo, don't ever give your publishing up. And Eddie was on the road, and he had a bunch of team that was supposed to like take care of it, but we just had a bunch of differences, and eventually I ended up not taking any of those deals. And then it circled back around to me signing to Mario Winans, like organically meeting him again, and he was like, yo, I always wanted to sign you. And I ended up signing that deal and moved to Miami. My life changed. Like, my whole life just changed. Like, I moved, and I was running 4 miles a day on the beach. I was, everything changed. I just experienced a whole new world. Signed a deal, made some money, started recording my record. My record started popping. I was working with everybody. It was life changing,
I didn't want to ask this question, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. What was the first thing you bought with like your first big check?
My first paycheck. First thing I bought, I filled the voids. I bought some sneakers. I never really had a bunch of fly sneakers. I bought some jeans. I feel like I used to keep my clothes in rotation, Mm-hmm. When you come from nothing and you make a little bit of money, the first thing you do is fill the voids, But I broke my mom with a bag, like, for sure.
Yeah.
At that time I was like, I'm balling. I gave her like 5 racks or whatever.
And the deals were different back then than they are now.
Yeah, my first deal was like, altogether was like a $1.9 million deal.
Yeah, they don't give deals like that anymore unless.
No, there wasn't. I mean, I had a lot of labels really wanting to sign me at the time, thank God, but and it was real confusing, and I was so young, and everybody was coming at me. I remember this one label was like, hey, Eddie, look, we got all this candy. Take as much candy as you want. I was like, I'm a diabetic. I don't eat candy. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need the candy. But, yeah, it was like that. It was pretty confusing at a young age. I'm very grateful to Mario. Mario really believed in me, Mario Winans, and he really developed me, and I was always kept it real with me, helped break me on my show even more, find my voice and my testimony as an artist, and helped me taught me how to put that to pen and paper,
That's a great transition to my next question, because I was curious, what's it like when you were getting into the industry? Were you shy, or were you, are you more introvert or extrovert then and now?
It's crazy. Like, back then I didn't really open my mouth much because I didn't really like my teeth. When I was young, me and my brother was playing, and I got pushed he pushed me and I fell. I slipped on the mattress and bust my teeth. So I always had caps in my two front teeth.
Like the silver ones?
Nah, no, just like like porcelain caps.
Oh, okay.
So they like if I chew something too hard or if I got in a fight, like it'll fall off. So I always talk with my mouth closed. I even sang with my mouth closed. And my choir director, my pops used to be like, "Open your mouth," and I used to be like, "Yeah, I'm doing my best." So then even when I signed my deal, I ended up getting veneers at the time because hey, the label was paying for it, and the dentist was like, "It's better if you get eye tooth to eye tooth veneers." So I was always like introverted. I know how to be extroverted. I know how to be social. I know how to meet people and relate to people on different levels and different things. But
Yeah.
I was more of a to myself person, and people used to think that I was being shy or introverted. And I'm like, no, I'm here for the music. I'm here to get out the ghetto. I'm not
Yeah.
here to be a part of anyone's entourage.
Yeah.
I don't really care about like making so-called friends. Like if real friendship build and it's organic and then that's what's up. But I've really never been starstruck. I was singing backup for celebrities since I was 10 years old in the choir for Stevie Wonder, Michael Bolton, Hootie and the Blowfish, Al Green. I've sang around the world and back, and I was always taught never to even ask for autographs. I did the Olympics in Japan. I sang in the Vatican for the Pope. This is all before my record deal, and I'll still go back to the ghetto and be reminded, like, yo, I gotta make it out of here, But I came in the game. Like I said, music found me. I had a testimony. I wanted to put it on for my culture. There wasn't a lot of Latinos, Spanglish in the game at the time. Coming from New York, and I studied music my whole life. I went to junior high school for music, got a big scholarship from Sony I never got to use, graduated at 15, started college at 15. So I always was an overachiever. I always wanted more. But, people always misunderstood that. And I also think that the game was really hard back then. Like, I never felt skinny enough. It was always like pressure to just be greater and be great, especially being an R&B pop artist. It was like, where at the campus I was in, people were like, "Yo, if you don't got a six pack, we're not shooting your video." It was like,
damn.
And I look back at myself now, I'm like, damn, I wish I would have loved that person.
Do you also feel like it was more difficult because it was more limited? That it was harder to become an artist, to gain success. Social media didn't exist, so it was more of a luxury, I guess you would say.
Absolutely. I mean, you had to be chosen. It was like winning the lottery, and these big corporations, these conglomerate corporations they were betting on you. They were gambling on you. It was a risk for them. They were hoping that, if they invested in you, that you will make that money back plus more. And of course that comes with, at the time, giving away a lot more. That's why when you look at these older artists who actually made it to that very big famous stage or sold a lot of records, they always go back and talk about these deals that they were in that they couldn't get out of, and they don't own their masters and stuff like that. But it's like, also, if these companies didn't give you money, then would your talent be more than enough to make you that money? Like, no, you got someone invested in you, and what they had to take their portion, and of course everyone's gonna want interest. Just like if you get a loan at the bank, they're gonna put interest. If you get a mortgage, they got an interest rate on it. So it's the same. It applies in the music industry too, especially back then even more. But it was very hard to meet everyone's standard, to talk the right way, walk the right way. I mean, like, even back then I was being trained etiquette to kind of hide the ghetto, to hide the hood, to not really be.
Really?
Yeah, it was like you had to walk and talk a certain way, you know what I mean? And then a lot of people wanted me to be more Latino, and I was like, be more Latino that doesn't apply when it comes to me. I am representing Latinos. I'm a Spanglish. I'm the new Spanish. I'm Spanglish. Proud of my culture, but I really grew up listening to that hip hop, R&B, Biggie, Jay-Z, Britney, NSYNC, all of that, and everything in between. Juan Luis Guerra, Mark Anthony, like Juan Gabriel. I grew up listening to a little bit of all of that, so it was really who I am. But people didn't see that the way they see it now, like the Cardi B's of the world, or 6ix9ines, or or the Lil Pumps, like all the Ice Spices.
When you think about how the country's grown as far as the minority, I mean, that was 20 years ago, 15 to 20 years ago. Now I think minority make up the majority and so it's even more relatable. You see artists that are crossing over. Luis Fonsi making songs with Justin Bieber. 10 years ago, I would have never seen something like that, I don't think, unless you were like Ricky Martin or something. But that's insane, bro. I
think we just now we just it's so inevitable to ignore us. And so now can't beat them, join them. Let's commercialize that and make profit on it. You know what I mean? Just like marijuana.
And it's increasing exposure. You said marijuana.
Just like marijuana, like, you know.
They realize
how many people went to jail for marijuana and now it's legal. Because now they can make a profit on it, you know.
That's how the lottery was, right? It started in New York, and then they realized how much money they can make, and they said, all right, we'll make it legal, but we're going to tax it.
Just like prostitution in Amsterdam.
Yeah, I've never been to Amsterdam.
The red light district, they all pay taxes.
Is that where they're like in the windows and they're like?
Yeah, they all in the window. Pick your flavor. Like but the government makes money on that. You know what I mean?
Of course.
So I feel like it's the same thing happened when it came to, you know, us and our culture. Like we just been commercialized now, and now they found a way to make profit gain on it, and now it's like, oh, now we're the majority. We've always been.
Yeah.
We've always been the majority, and from the legal ones to the unlegalized people living in the country, doing the dirty work, getting paid under the books. To that existed when I was a kid till now.
Tell him, Eddie. Tell him.
Y'all know what's up.
Yo, speaking of your influences and what you've listened to growing up, something I love about you is that you're not one-dimensional. You've written songs across genres: pop, R&B, Latin, reggaeton. What would you say has helped you be able to do that? You kind of like touched on it a little bit, but maybe you can expand. Because for people who want to write music and not be one-dimensional, what can they do to help them be better at that?
Absolutely. I think growing up in New York City, in Spanish Harlem, like by default, you go outside and you're hearing every different genre of music just walking down a block. Somebody could be walking with their music, playing loud, and it's hip-hop. You know, while you're on the train, someone's playing Britney Spears, or if it's a guy trying to make money making fun of it, or if it's a girl listening to it on her headphones, you know, then there's Latinos that are very proud to play their Latin music. Then there's a big population of other Caribbeans. So I grew up with reggae. It's a really big, real thing for me. You know, I grew up listening to Sizzla and Vibes Cartel and, you know, Beanie Man and all of that. And dance hall was always very real. Bob Marley, it was always real in my blood, you know. And reggaeton, Puerto Rico, we're like the patois Spanish of all Latinos, and we're Caribbean, so that music was very real. Daddy Yankee and reggaeton, yeah, all of it was real, being Puerto Rican. And that diversity was just by default. But once I realized that music is what I wanted to do, I took it upon myself to do research and learn my favorites and learn the greats. You know, you have to backtrack and study. And there's something I learned called shedding. I had to shed a lot of artists, you know, from the Kimberells to the Clark sisters to Donnie McClurkin to, you know, Jay Moss and all these gospel greats, because I wanted to be a great vocalist. As a Latino, it was important to make sure if I was going to sing, I was going to sing R&B for real without the accent. If I was going to riff, I was going to be clean at it. I wasn't going to attempt something I couldn't do vocally. And I think in this industry, people that, if you know, you know, and the ones that do know me and know what I do, they respect me for that, being Latino and doing things, you know, at a certain caliber. And even with pop music, I spent a lot of time in Scandinavia, in Denmark and Sweden, and learning the pop structure, and so I can write a pop record the right way, you know, with the right structure and those rules of, like, if the chorus is going to come, then that should be an explosion melodically and sonically and note-wise, and the verse should start somewhere, and the journey you should take people on, and the sonata form, the A, B, C, like the verse to the pre to the chorus to the tag back or to the bridge, you know, all these things that I had to really teach myself as a songwriter. It was really my responsibility if I wanted to be successful in every genre, and if I wanted to write music for, you know, a very like decorative collection of artists, and I would have to know the music and know the greats.
I love that. So shedding and research, if you boil it down. So let's go down the list of some artists you've worked with, which speak to that versatility. I hope you don't mind. And for you R&B heads, this is gonna probably blow your mind. Carl Thomas, J Lo, B5, 112, JoJo, Joe, Jay Sean, A. Marie, Nina Sky, Mario Winans, which if you know the Winan family, legends, Cody Simpson, Maya, El DeBarge, Charlie Wilson, Jessie J, Cat DeLuna, Layla Hathaway, Omarion, Kiki Palmer, Prince Royce, Gloria Trevi, Sofia Reyes, Nicky Jam, Maluma, Jason Derulo, and many, many, many more. That's just to name a few. Bro, how does it feel to hear that list?
I'm proud of myself, but I'm still hungry out here. There's so much more I got in me, and there's so much more I'm gonna do, you know, until my last breath. Cause it's just in me to write music, give the world music, and stand behind that. And I think the world is missing really. I mean, there's a lot of great music out there, but there's also a lot of noise, and we're in a time in music where it's an all-time high of just data and noises and sounds and vibes, and everyone's an artist today, and in everyone's own right. Yeah, you can name yourself an artist or call yourself an artist. That's great, but I think I couldn't give myself that title once upon a time years ago because there was way too much quality, and it was too hard to get a deal. You know, you couldn't just go viral and companies throw money at you. And I think that's the problem that we're living in today. Is a lot of hit records, a lot of artists, but we're not creating superstars. There's not a lot of superstars to mark the generation, and that's a big problem. And it's important that people from my, cut from my cloth, like the Money Longs and Victoria Monets, and these artists that are actually
singer-songwriters,
and also, moving the needle forward, pushing the culture forward, leaving a mark. We all were taught to shed, research, study, work hard, pay attention to trying to create a melody that was going to change something inside of a person, not only just the lyric, but trying to create a great melody, trying to create a great lyric, trying to really find a hook to bring it all together that's going to make the world keep singing it. And I feel like it's just my responsibility to make so much more music. So I'm on my first plate, not even my seconds or my dessert. I have so much more left in me. I'm very grateful, like coming from nothing. I used to eat out of garbage cans. I'm grateful, but yeah, I'm here because I want so much more.
Bro, there's so much to unpack there. I love it. First, I want to say when I read that list, I was like, damn, because a lot of those artists have made me who I am. Like, I grew up listening to them. I know all the 112 albums, and
yeah,
you know what I'm saying? And so, first of all, that's amazing. To touch on the oversaturation, do you feel like it is music, the industry is oversaturated, and is it decreasing the quality of music? Is that kind of what you were saying? Or do you think there's
I don't even know if it's I don't even consider it industry.
Okay.
At this point, there's very few that I would say are industry, and then there's a lot of like
the streaming services.
The moment.
Okay.
They're having a moment, and now these companies just want equity on it. It's kind of like the stock market. Now it's more like the stock market than the music industry. I feel like everybody's working in the same field. So, if you're in your house and you releasing music on DSPs and through a distributor, you're doing the same thing anyone else is doing, right? Now, someone else maybe have more capital to put on the ad spend to support what they're doing, but we're all doing the same thing. But for me to really consider it like industry, I don't know. It's like real innovative, like real innovators, real like our lifers, people that you just there's a difference when you hear something and you're like, this person was born to do it, and then you hear something you're like, oh, that's a vibe. Or this song is it's only gonna be hot to the next club song come in, you know. And will we be singing that song in 5 years? Will we care? Or is it a mockery? Is it novelty? Is it appropriation? Like, is it moving the culture forward? Would I be proud if I wrote that record? Like, all these things come into my mind.
Yeah.
You know, it's the sad part is that music is losing its prestige, because now anybody could everyone has a chance to throw to the wall and possibly stick.
Okay, thinking about, I guess the question for the audience is, can you distinguish the difference between whether the artist is born to do it or whether it's something that's just stick for the moment? Going back to that list real quick, who was the most fun to work with?
Most fun to work with. They're all interesting experiences.
Any stand out at all?
I mean, I gotta really think. I mean, these opportunities happen so quick sometimes. I would say I have like extensive, long relationship of writing with, like, together with JoJo. We've written so many songs together, and that chemistry is very easy. It's like ping pong. We know how to slap the ball back and forth and keep it on the table. Like,
you guys had great chemistry.
Yeah, like we've spent so much time together. We've allowed each other in each other's deep, like,
creative spaces.
Yeah, spaces, and just life, you know, like so it's been very easy for us to write records. I really enjoyed that whole week working with Usher. I think that was life-changing for me. I was so young, and Usher was Usher, and just being able to work with him for a week when I was young, wanting also to be in the industry and become a male R&B singer like him.
Oh, yeah.
It was really educational.
What about some of the Latin artists? Like for example, the ones that my audience should probably connect to the most is Maluma, Sofia Reyes, and Prince Royce.
Maluma was an interesting thing because, interestingly enough, it was Jason Derulo, and they were like, yo, come over. Maluma gave me your number. And I was like, how is Maluma going to give you my number when I don't know Maluma? You know what I mean? So I thought it was a lie. And then when I got there, Jason was like, yo, I thought you and Maluma were best friends. He gave me a number. He was talking so highly of you. And I was like, really? Like, I never met Maluma. I was like, bro, I've never met him. Like, how? I'm a fan of him. I think he's great, you know. He's popping right now. And I still, to this day, don't know how. But, so we did the record, and it was so quick, and then it just came out on the X album. But after that time with Jason, I got called into a Maluma camp, and I worked with Maluma for like a week at Record Plant, and we spent a little more time together. And I still never even asked him about that situation because I was like, this camp is super political. There's other writers here now, other producers here, and I already got Jason Derulo's vocals and Maluma's vocals on one record. I'm not going to mention the record. I'm just going to let this whole thing happen, and I know that record's going to make the album. And that's the record that actually made the album, the one I did with Jason, even though I spent more time doing records at that camp. But I spent time with Maluma, and it was weird because at that time, right before that album came out, it was almost like Maluma was super humble. It was almost like he didn't know how famous he was. It was very strange. I was like, does he know that he's Maluma? Like, does he know that he's that big? He was just super humble, hardworking, positive energy, super focused. And his team was like, really kept, navigating him into the right direction, which was like, bro, you can make it bigger, bigger, bigger. And they just all had his back. I really loved his whole vibe, his team's vibe. I was just like, this boy's going to be larger than life, And it was crazy because I actually, talking about people, Latin artists that I have great chemistry, me and Prince Royce, me and Sofia Reyes, I have great chemistry with Prince Royce. I wrote so many records with him, and yeah, that's also another artist that I have great chemistry writing for. I understand him being from New York. We're both from New York, you know, and that's always been really super dope. Yeah.
Appreciate that. You worked alongside Simon Cowell for 10 years and different singing and talent shows. What was it like working with Simon? Because, you know, Simon, his reputation has changed over the years, but he was first known as like the scary guy, you know what I'm saying? What was it like working with him?
That's interesting too, because I didn't make it into Simon's world through Simon. Like, I got called in through Fox. So my interview was with Fox Network, and it was a quick 5-minute interview, and I thought I lost it because I was like, yo, what's up, Aki? All this energy, like I really wanted it. And they're like, okay, nice to meet you. We'll call you back. And I was like, oh, man, what the hell did I say, right? But it lined up. They're like, yo, we love you. We want you to come in. Tomorrow I arrived. They mic'd me up. They were like, in 5 minutes, 80 kids are going to come through here. We want you to warm them up. And I was like, oh, my God, what the hell am I going to do? And I was like, okay, cool. I remember all this choir stuff. So, because Simon was looking for, he wanted vocal coaches, but he wanted producers, writers, people that had accolades, that had personality too for TV. So the experience, knowing how to make the contestants come across as artists when they sing on TV and vocal produce, you know, the performances before when the world hears them. So that's what I had to do. But prior to that, the stages of like warming people up, making them sing against each other, like getting them on their, you know, on their toes. Yeah. This is a competition. Everyone's not going to win. That person right next to you is your competition. Oop, she could sing higher than you. What are you going to do? Yeah. You know, I was just like, I had to really.
You have to try and bring it out of them.
Exactly. Wake everyone's mind up. And I mean, so after showing like what I got, Simon really took a hold onto what I was doing. He really liked my energy, and he was like, what do you think? We want to make a group kind of like what we did with One Direction, but we want to do it with girls. And that's when I was like, well, half of them need to sing in Spanish. And then we sat and we looked at all the girls and we put Fifth Harmony together. And Fifth Harmony didn't win the show. And Fifth Harmony almost didn't even get a deal. Elliot Reed ended up signing them.
Yeah. That's insane to even think about.
Yeah, they didn't win. They almost didn't get a deal.
They're global, right?
They're global. Fifth Harmony, I mean, everyone know Camila Cabello and Normani. Woo.
Yep.
They're killing it, you know. Lauren, Ali, Dinah.
Yeah. Powerhouses in their own right.
They are. They're brands, you know, for sure. And after that, then we did the next season, and I brought this kid named Carlito Olivero. He's doing great. He's doing a lot of big movies as an actor and a lot of TV shows.
Him.
Yeah.
Can't forget that lineup.
He's Mexican and Puerto Rican.
Yeah.
Puerto Rican and Mexican from Chicago. And I was like, I begged him to come on the show. I was like, yo, you need to come on the show. I promise if you come on the show, we're going to work super hard. We'll get you. I can't promise you winning, but I promise we're going to work hard. And I got him all the way to the finals. And when we got to the finals, you know, when you make it to the finals, you get to sing with a celebrity. Mm-hmm. And I remember we were in the room and we were like, what celebrity can Carlito sing with? Simon said. And I said, well, I'm working with this kid named Prince Royce. And he's huge in the Latin world, and he's about to make his crossover into America. And he was like, okay, cool, call Prince Royce. So I called him on the phone, connected him with Simon, and booked him on the show. And he got to sing Stand By Me with Carlito on the show. Oh. And then after that, Simon was like, man, whenever we work together, you strike gold, so let's do a show in Latin America. And then the La Banda format came out. And that's where I helped put CNCO together from day one. And I supervised the head of music, supervised that for a year, was for CNCO. Then the next year, we put Mix 5 together. And then after that, I got called to London to do the show. And when I went to do the show in London, the boy group I happened to work with, I ended up writing a record that became #1 in the official charts in London and on iTunes. That group won, and then Simon offered me a senior A&R position at Sony Records, Sony Records in London, and I had to take it, and I moved to London.
Damn. You must be so proud to know that you played somewhat of a pivotal role in the careers of these global groups, bro. That has to feel good.
Absolutely, man. And I grew up watching Simon Cowell and then working for Psycho. And then when I moved to London, I became a judge on X Factor with him. and then I guest judge in different countries, and that was like mind blowing because for me it was like I grew up loving these shows, like
Yeah.
almost thinking about auditioning for these shows as a kid, you know. But now I'm here, like I like what you do. You don't have what it takes, you know. It's crazy, like being an expert and being making a difference and helping, seeing dreams come true. Like that was mind blowing. But that was a epiphany for me. I realized that everything I wanted, everything I worked for, there was something bigger. It was bigger than just me making it as an artist. It was like, no, you're gonna help make other artists' dreams come true as well, and that's gonna be a part of your calling.
You know, I don't want to skip over the fact that you are an artist and you have 8 number ones, 5 number one albums in Japan. What's that experience like, being at that level in a country like that where the fans are just amazingly loyal? Like, what did that feel like?
I think it's unbelievable. I mean, it's crazy, like how big the world is, and you can just come from like such a humble place, like from eating out of garbage cans and growing up so poor and just dreaming and wishing to do music, and then making music and promoting it across the pond 14 hours from New York on a plane away, and arriving and your music's playing through the streets, and 35,000 people showing up to a concert, and you're doing magazines and you see billboards, and it's mind-blowing, you know. It's mind-blowing, but it's confirmation that like I got to keep going, and there's so much more left to do, and I got to get my people singing my songs, you know, and people in my hood being like, yo, you came from where I came from, like you could do it, I could do it, you know. But it's all like bigger than me. I'm just a vessel, you know. I know now that I'm just a vessel. I just do music, and wherever God wants it to go and where it's supposed to go, that's beyond me. And I'm just happy if one person feels it, one person likes it, then I'm blessed.
What do you like more, singing, writing, or coaching, or performing?
They all go hand in hand, you know. What I don't like to do is perform for deaf ears or perform and become background noise. There's no point in doing that. I'm not, you know, what is it? I'm not like a little monkey that's gonna dance for you and perform for you. Like that's not what I'm doing. If I'm gonna perform, I want people to pay attention. Mm-hmm. So that's the reason why I don't do a lot of performances, because I just don't like to be background noise. And respectfully, I'm not one to drive and have music playing. I don't just let music play in the background ever. When music comes on, I want to really understand where people are coming from, you know. And today, when a lot of music comes on, it's so easy for me to tell the difference. Like, oh, this was for the clout, or this is just because everyone today wants to be an artist, or this is really some top tier great stuff, and I gotta shut up and learn something, you know.
I love that, because you always have something to say, so it makes sense why you want to have something to hear. What's the most powerful element you could add into a song?
The heart.
Facts.
The heart.
Facts.
The honesty, you know.
If you and I were to write a song, what would we call it?
Latino power.
Latino power. That's dope. Latino power, dope. One of the things I love most about you, bro, and your music is that you don't only have a unique tone of voice, and I've told you this before, but your ability to evoke emotion. Like when you sing with emotion, it's absolutely felt. I can name various songs that, and I always tell you this, Hurt People is one of my favorite songs, probably because I heard it in a time of my life where I could relate the most. And I think I almost want to get emotional thinking about it, because your music really has made an impact on me. And yeah, all right, let me skip to the next question. Too deep.
Yo, don't talk about her. Yo, don't talk about her.
Next. Do you think what you've gone through growing up has shaped your ability to create music, and how?
Absolutely. I think what I've gone through growing up has helped me shape my music, and even my, I don't want to say my style, but my, my style. 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 My st my lyrics, because I have so much to pull from. Like, my book of life has taken me to very, very dark places. But then also very, very bright, sunny days, which I'm grateful for all of them. I mean, because in those dark places, you find your own strength when you make it out, And sometimes you don't realize how strong you are, You don't realize, like, I was built to walk through this dark alley and make it out alive,
Yeah, I think sometimes when we're in these dark spaces, we don't realize that we can get through them, and when we do is when we realize, oh snap, I'm a lot stronger than I thought I am. But I also feel like people like you and I and others who've gone through a lot of really traumatizing things or just hard situations in life, those are the people who tend to be most empathetic. Like, I feel like those who haven't gone through anything or maybe are born with a silver spoon, it's really hard for them to empathize because they don't understand, right? So I'm just speaking out loud in the fact that, like, maybe that's why your music is so deep and emotional and powerful too, is because you've experienced life in a different way.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that's pretty beautiful, to be honest.
I mean, you have to be like, I was never like scared to be vulnerable ever.
Yeah, but with Latino men, that's the thing that
Yeah.
that a lot of Latino men don't experience. They don't know how to be vulnerable because they come from these countries where they're
vulnerability
machistas.
doesn't necessarily mean you have to break down and cry.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
It just means you have to have empathy and be sympathetic and listen and pay attention and be a giver as well.
Mm-hmm.
You have to give back. You have to be there for people and do that unapologetically. That's vulnerability. And I think that's just in the bigger scheme of things in life and today, where there's so many 50-50 conversations and masculine, feminine roles and all this stuff. I feel like as a man, you should. Vulnerability doesn't mean you have to break down and cry.
Right. Yeah, but there's a softness to it that I think, again, in the culture, especially the old school culture. The new school is maybe understanding things differently, but you have our tios and grandpas who were strong, hardworking men. But when it came to being empathetic and things like that, maybe it was a little more challenging because anything like that was considered weak. It's soft. Like, I can't be soft, right?
No, absolutely. I'm not one to like break down and cry a million times for people. Like, but I'm vulnerable in the sense of like, I'm sorry that happened to you. Like, I can relate, or just listening and just being able to. Yesterday, I met this girl named Fern. We seen me and my artist double, who seen her car crash. Like, seen the whole car crash, pulled up.
Oh, no.
She was breaking down crying. She's like, I found out my grandfather died today. I mean, how could you not hug a girl like that and say,
Of course.
I'm so sorry. That's vulnerability. I mean, and I think now people, if a man's not crying, if a man's not breaking down all the way, then it's like, oh, you being
hard.
You're not vulnerable. It's like, no, it's just everyone has different ways to express themselves. And hey, if I feel like crying, I'm gonna cry because those tears are like rain, and after the rain, flowers grow. So I don't care. I'll cry if I need to.
I love that. Now let's get into some controversial stuff right before, because we're almost done.
Let's do it.
Almost done.
No,
I've heard.
No, you could take your time.
I've heard different opinions about this, and I kind of mentioned it earlier. Some people say that some people get upset because they are always supportive of what their friends do. Their friend has a new business, their friend promotes a song. It doesn't matter, right? They support it. They repost it. They do whatever they can. Now, when that love isn't reciprocated, they get upset. There are people who get upset. How do you feel about that? Like, if you're supporting all your friends and then you release something and nobody's posting anything, does it bother you? Do you feel some kind of way about that?
Yeah, I mean, I've been affected by that myself. I mean, being an artist, being a writer, producer, there's so many artists that I contribute to their legacies, and I'm always supportive about what they do, and I don't really feel like that's reciprocated, and I've voiced that out loud and to them personally at times. But bigger than that, like, what God has for you is no man can take away, So at the end of the day, what's for you will be, and and if you may have these goals set so high, and you may want to be just as big as some of the artists that you're around, or some of your favorite artists. But you got to be grateful for the gifts God give you and the gifts that God don't give you. You know, maybe you're not ready for that. Maybe that will change you in a way that you never seen coming, and it's not for you. But if you could have a livelihood doing what you do, and this could pay your bills, and you can be happy, and you can feed the world with music and affect one person, at least one person every time, I think you're doing your job. And we're really in that real place today because of how artists are made. It's not like the way they were before. That the most important part is being able to do this and create a livelihood for yourself. Look at this like a business, like a job, and really be able to keep, putting fuel back in your vehicle and being able to get to the next location. Like as an artist, like I've sold this much now I want to sell this much. Now I can sell this much. Maybe now I can do this much of a show. Maybe now I can sell this much merch. And unfortunately, sometimes it's not going to be the people that love you the most or say they love you the most. That's fine. You'll find your tribe, and you just got to keep going. And like I said, hey, maybe that tribe ain't even in America. Maybe if you're from America, maybe in another country. If you're from another country, maybe they're in America. That's the beauty of today.
Love that. Thanks, man. What qualities are needed in a creative or in a music creator in order to be great? What qualities do you need to be great in general?
Well, define great. Does money make you great? Does fame make you great?
So it depends on our definition of great or success.
If money is what you think is greatness or fame,
what's your criteria?
Greatness is integrity in what you do. Like, what's inevitable is inevitable. Like, when you look at, if you look at the sun, it's bright. You can't lie and say the sun is dull, or it's not bright. Like when something's good, something's great, that's inevitable. You're gonna be like, I can see the greatness in that. You may not be the biggest fan of a great singer like Kim Burrell, but you gonna say, wow, there's some real skill in that. You know what I mean? That may not be your genre. You may not like it, whatever. But if it's great, it's great. But I don't think that success, like financial gain and a lot of fans, make you great. I think it makes you popular. I think it makes you current. I think it makes you relevant. I think it's touching people, but that still don't necessarily mean it's great. I mean, there's so many novelty acts. Macarena sold how many records? It's fun, it's exciting, but is it great? Like, like is that record? If you had 100 records to take to the moon, is that one gonna get on the rocket ship? Like, cause the Earth was gonna blow up. Is that you could only listen to these 100 songs for the rest of your life? Will that record make it? Probably not. But
damn, you just sparked something great. Next time, episode 2, if we ever do one.
Whenever.
Let's compile a list of songs that if we had to take it to Mars, what would it be?
The Earth was blowing up, and these are the only 100 songs you could take to Mars.
I'm taking NSYNC, bro. I'm taking it.
You're taking it.
Yeah.
Which one?
The first album, Tearing Up My Heart.
You can only pick one song. Man.
One song?
Yeah. Tearing Up My Heart.
No. If it's one song, it's definitely not that one. It's I gotta really think about it.
He's all bang, bang, bang.
Definitely not. Oh, that's what we're gonna say on the way to Mars. Bye, bye.
Yeah, exactly.
That's funny. I love that. Integrity, I think, is super important in general. Last 2 questions. What's a life lesson you've learned that you'll never forget that you can share?
For me, it would be like, the quicker you fail, the faster you're on the road to success.
Let me process that. The quicker
because
you fail.
failing is a part of success. When you hit that dead end, you know that you just got to go another route. You can't stop. So don't be scared to fail. Don't be scared to make mistakes. Like, it's all a part of being great, all a part of getting better. I told the girl yesterday, I was like, car accidents happen, And then I was telling my boy, I was like, yo, now she's going to be a more careful driver. She's going to be a greater driver, So I think, like, I've always looked at my failures as like those L's, turn them into lucky sevens. Like,
I can relate to that for sure. Now, this might tie into that same response. Maybe it'd be different. If you could tell your younger self anything, what would it be?
I would say, like, believe in yourself. Like, you really are amazing. Like, you really, like, I would have told myself, like, do you know how good you look? Do you know how great you sound? Do you know how much you have in you? Do you know how amazing you are? Do you know why all these people really believe in you? Is because you're really that guy, you know? I didn't believe that. I didn't see that. It was too hard to process, you know? I didn't even know how to smile when I got my new teeth. Like, it was crazy. It was like, I couldn't really believe in myself. But when I look back at that guy, I would have gave him a hug. I was proud. I'm proud of that guy, you know?
That's dope. I love that so much, bro, because it's what I carry every day. I think reminding everybody, no matter who they are, that they're awesome, they're beautiful, that they're dope, is vital. I think if the world had more of that kind of healing, those compliments, the world would be a better place. So I think that's
absolutely,
dope.
man. And all the artists out there today, like, if you wake up and there's one thing you like about yourself, I tell my artists this all the time, like, if you like your t-shirt, if you like your skin today, if you like the way your hair is looking, your hairline, if you like the way your skin is shining, that one thing, run with it all day, because that is real. How you feel about yourself right there, like, let that thing take over you like a virus, like a fungus, and let it take over you, and really walk with that confidence today, because it's hard growing up being a Latino man. There's a stigma on us. I don't think people want to see a man like me or a man like you walk behind their grandmother at night. I think when we walk in a room, we still get, stereotyped. It happens with me all the time. And there's a stigma with us. Just being minority is hard. And I think there's no book on how to raise a man. And it's very difficult to be a man in this world. I think you can be almost invisible. You can go outside and not one person say a thing to you, you know? As a woman, at least someone will open a door, another woman will say something to you. But there's times when I was been by myself and I felt invisible against the world. Like, not one person would say anything to me. And I just want to encourage all Latino, minority, black men, whatever, whoever you are. Like, if there's one thing you like about yourself, use that and walk with confidence. And to my woman out there as well, believe in yourself. You're beautiful. And let that thing, resonate and take over. You're the future. Whatever you want, grab it by the horns and take it, because nobody in this world's going to give it to you. So you got to go in there and get it,
Appreciate that, bro. Last question. You believe in God?
Yeah, of course.
Beautiful. Thank you, man. Thank you for taking time, bro.
Yes.
Appreciate you. You're great. Don't forget that.
You're great. Amen. Amen. God, always God first.
And
always.
You want to plug anything? I know you have some stuff coming.
Yeah, man. Just, keep it locked with your boy, Lil Eddie. Got a lot of albums dropping, a lot of my catalog from Japan, a lot of new music, a lot of Latin music, R&B music. I'm just getting started. Want to plug in my artist, Doble U. Go check him out. Yeah, it's a movement, Broken Hearts Club. We on the way. Love you all. Thanks for the support. And if you're not familiar, get familiar. I promise you won't be let down.
Yes, sir. Love you, bro. Thank you, man.
Jeez, love you more, bro.
Hey. All right. That was dope.
That was amazing.
Yeah, 'cause you